Welcome into a week 3 film breakdown of the Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Browns. Not quite the game that Packers fans were hoping for. It was a defensive battle. Browns, they had all the momentum at the end of the game in order to squeak out with a win. There was poor offensive line play by the Packers, lack of discipline, and conservative play calling at the end of the game that lost the Packers this game. So let's dive into the film, look at some of their mistakes, and hopefully they're going to be able to turn it around next week. Lucas Van Ness continues to show some improvement. I'm going to highlight him here, but he's just getting better and better with his pass rush moves. Obviously, I don't want to spend the entire game talking about the negatives, so this is just highlighting a very nice speed rush. Obviously, a much easier to see from the end zone angle, but you're going to see a very quick get off. Got them walking down. Judkins trying to identify the blitz, doesn't come down, and Van Ness uses the hands, swipes, double swipe, gets through, gets upfield, gets some pressure. So he's starting to develop some tools. I think he's spending a lot of time with Micah Parsons, and hopefully this continues to pay off down the road. Early in the game, I think the Packers were anticipating a lot of man. The Browns played the most man of any team, and they actually came out in a lot of zone. And I was anticipating that, Golden, Wicks, they would have pretty big days if they stuck in man coverage. But here you've got the zone coverage with a very, very soft corner. The Packers love attacking those soft corners with quick outs. So this was a decent start to the game with Golden, but they weren't able to be consistent throughout the game. And then the one other thing that I want to highlight on that first play is Zach Tom, obviously in the game. He's up against Myles Garrett. Of course, we know that hindsight is 20/20, but I'm not sure why they made the decision to bring Zach Tom in with a torn oblique, trying to bring him back early against Myles Garrett, because he's just not going to have the strength to go up against him the entire game. We saw that as soon as play 1 happened, re-injured, out for the rest of the game, and that's when these O-line issues start to show up. And we've got the very next play. We're going to be looking on the interior of the offensive line, and this is where we start to see a lot of the issues with the speed from the defensive front. And Jenkins did not have a very good start to the game. All right, here he kind of oversets. He's going off to his left. Defender's coming to the right. And he's essentially going to try to clear and push here to get Sean Ryan out of the way. Sean Ryan just gets beat inside as well. So you've got 2 free rushers. All right, so you got Malik Collins getting quick pressure. And then Sean Ryan just not moving his feet. Can't slide. He reaches, he stabs here, keeps his feet stuck in the ground. And Jordan Love taking a very, very quick pressure on 2nd and 2. I think teams are going to stop trying the screen game when you've got Bullard in the game, because he's been incredible taking on these blocks, forcing the receivers to react. And we also have a nice tackle there by Nate Hobbs. And we got 2 receivers that are going to end up taking Bullard here, which is going to free up Hobbs on the outside. You can see he's taking both of those blocks. Realistically, the tight end should take this over, and the receiver should pop off, and that would actually be a massive gain for the Browns. But because of that mental error, Hobbs is able to get up and get a tackle for a loss early in the game. This play wowed me live, and it's just Myles Garrett being a freak of nature. Like, this guy is way too difficult to block. Here you're going to have Kraft come into motion. And this is a very large man making a very quick move. You've got a split zone action where you're supposed to kick out that D end. You've got the fake with the spinner. And they're just going to hand this off as an inside zone. You're trying to get this kick out, open up a lane. And Myles Garrett is just going to, whoop, 1 jab step. He's around. He's disrupting the play. And that is just, there's not much you can do against a player like Myles Garrett. And we'll watch it from the end zone angle as well. Spinner motion, trying to get inside, but Myles Garrett, heck of a move, makes a play in the backfield. All right, here we've got a play by Matthew Golden, which I think could have been a more explosive play. But we'll watch it again. We've just got a simple motion. Gone too far. Simple motion. He's going to come across. He's just going to catch the screen. He's going to get upfield. You essentially have a tunnel screen where you've got offensive linemen getting upfield, trying to clear. And I really think that this could have been a touchdown if Matthew Golden runs this properly. He's setting up inside, right? Jenkins is going to be coming outside. He's going to take this defender here. But if Golden stays, if he sets up this block, right, he's looking inside. He's just trying to get as much yardage as possible on a 2nd and 10. But I think if he sets this up, is a little bit more patient, you're going to get engaged here by Jenkins. He's going to cut this out. He's got a bunch of free space, and eventually Musgrave is going to get engaged on Delpit. And this is a touchdown. And you'll see it a lot clearer from the end zone angle once we get there. Here we go. Speed it up. He's got room. If he sets this up, right, if he just takes a little bit of a patient step, Jenkins comes in, clears with all his momentum. He can cut out. And by the time that cutout happens, here, essentially, right, he's too far upfield. If he was a little bit more patient and lets this play develop, he's going to be gone, right? And it's a one-on-one with Delpit. I think the Packers linebackers had a pretty decent game. Here, we're going to show a play from McDuffie, highlighted there. And he just does a very good job of being that outside defender, right? So you get good engagement from the defensive line, and Egbare really forcing that run to get outside, and he's going to take up 2 blockers. And Egbare was the top-rated defender of the Packers this week, according to PFF. But that was a very nice job of occupying 2 blocks, which is going to leave McDuffie free. Makes a nice tackle for loss on 1st and 10. Here we're going to focus on Gary. You got Micah Parsons standing up here. You've got Gary down. You've got a unique front. And this is what Hafley is going to do with this defense, is try to get unique looks where you can generate pressure and confuse the offensive line. And here you've just got Gary rushing free, getting a quick sack on a 3rd down, forcing a punt. And it's just a miscommunication, really, by the offensive line. There's really nothing that Gary did that was special. Generally, what you want to try to do is big on big, right? You got a defensive lineman, defensive lineman, defensive lineman. Offensive line is going to be responsible for those guys. You've got a linebacker out here, so that's essentially going to be the responsibility of that tight end. They're the same size. You should be able to take them. So this is just a mistake by the right tackle. He's not going big on big. They handle the stunt inside quite well. But Gary's just going to get through for a sack. All right, here we just have a discipline issue. I got a false start from the left side there. And obviously that's going to mess up the timing, but this is essentially a split zone type run. Everything is flowing in one direction, right? So if a guy stunts on the inside, that should really be picked up by Banks. Of course, we can't necessarily grade this play because it is a false start. The play technically didn't happen. And even though Banks is not getting the right guy, right, this ends up being a false start. Helps the Packers out a little bit because they lost yards on the run. But then again, they didn't do anything on the very next play with it. Here you've got a Packers free play due to the guy at the top of the screen here. Very blurry because the camera operator was trying to get from the scoreboard to the field very, very quickly. But you get a breakdown in pressure. Or you get a breakdown from the O-line, which creates pressure. And we'll see it a lot better from this angle. This is just Aaron Banks and Jenkins not communicating at all. So you're going to have a backer that's lined up here. All right, he's going to end up wrapping around. You've got defensive lineman going off to that left. You can see Aaron Banks just takes his eyes. He's just punching. Then he turns. Usually you don't want to do that as an offensive lineman. He's too eager to find work somewhere else. And that's going to leave Jenkins in a one-on-one. Whereas if Banks stays here, right, stays square to the line, helping Jenkins, right, then Jenkins is going to be able to peel off and take that blitzing backer. But with Banks being injured, with Tom being injured, they're not practicing, they're not communicating, and these types of issues are going to be showing up. That's a sack on what could have been a deep shot free play. Romeo Doubs has continued to improve, and he's looking for that contract. Here we have him at the bottom of the screen. Nice release, sells vertical, stops on a dime, and is able to get some run after catch. So this is a big play on a 3rd and 6. All right, gets that release, gets the DB to turn his hips. He's going to stop, come back to the ball, and then, of course, he knows it's man. He's got one guy to beat just to get that first down. Makes a nice move, moves the chains. Well done by Dobbs. Another thing that I liked was the read option game, actually getting Jordan Love involved in the run game, and they're just going to be reading this outside defensive lineman. He's just going to slide all the way inside. Jordan Love's going to pull, and you've got an escort there with Trucker Craft. He's going to come in with a split zone action, but instead he's going to bluff. He's going to get upfield. And that's a very nice gain on the 3rd down for a Packers first down. I think LaFleur had a decent game plan for Myles Garrett. Obviously, he's here at the top of the line. You're just going to get a simple pin pull. You're going to just try to push him and get him pushed inside so you can get outside and he doesn't disrupt you with his contain, because his get off is so quick. He gets upfield. So all you need is just to get in his way, just to slow him down. And you're going to get a nice gain here on a 1st and 15. Packers, of course, playing behind the sticks. It's not easy, but I don't think that it was a poor game plan from LaFleur. And I think it was just a lot of offensive line issues and confidence issues that he felt he needed to be a little bit more conservative. And I think that didn't really help the Packers in this game. It's very hard to win in this league when you don't have time to throw. Here you've got a zone coverage. You got essentially quarters. You can see 4 defenders here at the back. Right, you got 4 deep. But if we look at the right side of this offensive line, we can obviously see 2 guys get beat in one-on-ones. And if you've got 2 guys losing one-on-ones, it's not going to be a good day. All right, so that's a 2nd and 10. You got Sean Ryan, got that little push, pull, and a rip where he's going to get around and just a speed rush after the chip on Jordan Morgan. He doesn't get set too far, doesn't move his feet enough. And you got 2 guys getting quick pressure. There's really nothing open downfield. You could say that maybe he tries to get Dobbs here, but Dobbs really would have to turn this into a curl and just come straight downhill, because you got a safety over the top that would break it up if he just continues on that route. Again, we're just going to have more sacks this time. We've got Myles Garrett at the top. You're trying to do what you can. You're trying to chip him with a tight end, but he's just too fast. All right. You lose on the inside. You lose on the outside. Really, this game just boils down to offensive line losing their one-on-one battles. And some games, you're going to have that. All right, you've got a very good defensive front from the Cleveland Browns. And they're just going to win with those pass rush moves, especially on 3rd and 22. They know it's a passing situation. They're just going to tee off, use their best move, and make a play. This next one is McKinney. He's making a nice play in cover 1. But you've got situational awareness. Nice shot there on Joe Flacco, bearing down. But if he just knocks this down, I know he gets the interception for the stats. It looks nice. But if he knocks this down, Packers essentially have 8 seconds left. They can get one play off to try to get into field goal range, maybe like a quick out or something, just for a long field goal before half. And, you know, it's not able to happen because interception is going to happen. Play is going to take a little bit longer. Steps out, runs a little bit more time off. And instead, Packers have to kneel and go into halftime with just 3 points. Again, I'm not just going to show every single sack, but this is just going to show you all of the O-line issues. Primarily, Jordan Morgan, he did not have a very good game. He had 3 penalties, gave up a couple sacks. This is going to be one of them. He was the person that allowed the blocked field goal, but Elton Jenkins also not doing great up front. Right, he just gets bowled into. He's not able to make a play. Morgan trying to do his best to block 2. And that's just way too quick for Jordan Love to even keep his eyes downfield to see anything that's happening. Panics and takes that sack. Here you're going to have really nice coverage across the board. And you get some nice pressure from basically everywhere. Interior, exterior. Packers end up coming away with a sack. You can see pretty much everywhere across the fields. Right, you've got a guy in coverage. And we'll end up looking here from the end zone angle. You can see very wide 9 essentially from Rashawn Gary. He's going to end up getting that pressure, gets upfield, uses that speed move again just to get around. But you do have pressure. The bull rush from LVN. There's nowhere for Flacco to step up. That's a nice sack by the Packers. Next play, we've got a small detail. I'm going to focus on Rasheed Walker and obviously the quarterback here. This is something that could have been a big play. That ends up not being a big play due to a small detail. And we can see here, Wicks ends up working down close to a first down on a 2nd and 13. But the big issue comes down with the throw. And we can see it is an RPO, right? We've got this swing screen that's set up on the backside in case you have a numbers game, right? So he's kind of reading. We've got a 2-on-2 on the outside. He's reading this defender. He's crashing down on the inside. Essentially, let me just swing it out to my receiver. Now, the offensive line, they know that it's also a run. So they're just going to get upfield. They're going to try to make their blocks. The problem is, in the NFL, you cannot go further downfield than 1 yard without it being a penalty for ineligible man downfield. And that only applies if it's a forward pass. If this route is deeper, if it's more of a bubble, and it's a backwards pass to Dontavian Wicks, then it is allowed. But because that ball gets thrown forward, all of these offensive linemen are ineligible. They're not allowed to be downfield. So these tiny details lead to a penalty and creates more issues for this Packers offense. However, the very next play, we're going to get a very similar play. They saw how productive it was. So instead, hey, let's just do the same thing. Let's just get it out to Jacobs, not even an RPO, and he's going to get a big gain all the way downfield. And, of course, you've got Rasheed Walker leading the way. Big boy getting out front, making a nice block there, creating a seam and a big first down. So no harm, no foul after that ineligible man downfield. One of the favorite plays in this game on 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 6, 3rd and medium is just, hey, let's get to the sticks and let's sit down. And you're going to see that here, right? Everyone getting to the sticks, which I find a little bit weird. Obviously, you've got them going in zone here in this situation. So maybe that was something that he spotted on film is, on 3rd and medium, they love to go zone, even though they're a man-heavy team. And here you've got Wicks getting found, breaking a tackle, getting tackled, very, very close to scoring. So that's just a very nice job of Wicks feeling out that zone, able to make the catch, hands away from his body, slips through, and works it within the 5. Of course, Packers love their play action, but we'll focus on Fitzpatrick here. You've got a nice boot. It means you're unprotected when you roll out after the play fake. Everything is covered deep, right? Receivers all locked down. But of course, you've just got one guy standing free. Fitzpatrick in the end zone. Jordan Love able to find him for the Packers' only touchdown of the game. And you'll see it a lot better from this angle. You've got him blocking down, following the flow. And that's just, there's no way that you're going to be able to cover this as a Browns defense, because you see him, he's still kind of engaged. And now that you've got a scrambling QB, all the eyes of the defense is on that QB. They don't see what's going on behind them. You can see the rookie linebacker, who had a very good game against the Packers, makes a mistake here in coverage and allows that touchdown. And here you've got mental errors by number 10 on the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, you got a 3rd and 1. I don't really like the play call in this situation necessarily. Right, you got a lot of routes that are deep, and they're playing some form of Tampa 2 with a match principle. I think what Love is trying to do is extend the play here, and Chris Brooks, if he flattens this out, I think it's a big gain. He keeps going upfield, causes a little bit of a rub with his own player, but if he just flattens this out, he's at the line to gain. This is a 3rd and 1, keep in mind. Chris Brooks is going to catch that and get a 20-yard gain. But he keeps going upfield. Has to slow down. Love sees that. I think he wanted him to get into that area, and instead of throwing it away, he takes a sack, and obviously that is going to give the Packers worst field position when they have to punt the ball away. And here we've got a good throw by Jordan Love. It's not a great throw. This could be better, and you'll see why on the end zone angle, but that is a touchdown if that ball is thrown better. We'll see it from the end zone angle. Best pocket all day. There is nobody behind Golden. If this ball is out in front on the red line, right, halfway between the numbers, that's where it's supposed to be, but it drifts just a little bit over that shoulder, so he's got to bend, he's got to be off balance, right, and he's not able to keep his feet in bounds. He probably could have made a little bit more of an effort and gotten extra yards, but then he's just going to be taking a hit. But if that ball is thrown more upfield, which I know he's trying to fit it in to a Tampa 2 hole, trying to get that hole shot, but that is 96-yard touchdown if that ball is thrown perfectly. It's unfortunate because that would put them up 17-0 at that point in the game. So what could have been is unfortunately not. The Packers, of course, do not score the rest of the game. Then I just want to highlight Jordan Morgan here on Shelby Harris. Shelby Harris was causing issues on the interior most of the game. And here you've just got, a split zone. Jordan Morgan just getting beat inside. All right, good strength by Shelby Harris. He's the first one to make contact. Packers really couldn't get anything going on the ground. You've got towards the end of the game, I'm going to focus on the interior with Colby Wooden. There were 2 consecutive plays, these 2 big runs, which we're going to focus on. I think if Colby Wooden does a better job of selling this or making an effort, I think he's trying to get the flag here for holding, which it is very borderline. You do see the wrap here, but I think if he stays more focused on actually making the play, it's going to force the refs to call it. Because if he's able to get that step in towards the running back, it's going to be very obvious for those refs. But instead, he falls backwards. I think if he tries to move a little bit forward, it's going to be obvious because then it's going to turn the hips of the offensive lineman, and the ref is going to be able to see that hold. So it's unfortunate they're not able to see it there. Get a decent gain by Judkins, and then we'll speed it up. Obviously, got the end zone angle. Got the very next play, another big run by Judkins. Here you go. Finds a seam. And again, you're going to see a similar issue with Colby Wooden. I think he's exhausted at this point in the game. Get basically a bear hug by 75 here, pushing on the outside. And you can see Wooden again grabbed on that outside shoulder. But I think if he does a better job of actually fighting through this, he can stop this play. We'll speed it up. A very, very big run. 38 yards, I believe, by Judkins. We'll watch this from normal speed. Colby Wooden just puts an arm out. I think he could probably make a better effort on this. He is getting grabbed, but again, he leaves his feet. If he puts a shoulder into him, that's going to slow him down significantly. And instead of a 38-yard gain, it would be maybe 1 or 2 yards. And very quickly, I think we've got some ticky-tacky calls that happen at the end of the game. We'll watch both of these. This is apparently a hold. It's within 5 yards. That's legal contact. He doesn't actually grab him. Right? He might have gotten his back a little bit. But here we've got the incomplete. And then that ref on the back line waits and then throws a flag way after the play. And then we've got the next play, which is the pass interference, or this is a 3rd and 3 later in the drive. And again, pass interference has to happen when the ball is in the air. There's some contact, but I don't think that is pass interference. Obviously, I might have a little bit of bias, and it's a little bit hard to tell, but I think this is just decent technique, right? He doesn't really pull Judy. Judy's just got his arm out. It's hard to tell from the end zone angle, but that just looks like he's getting out in front. He's got the forearm. He's making a play. I don't think that's necessarily pass interference, but again, those penalties don't have a major impact. It is only a field goal that the Browns get on that drive. Now, the moment that everyone's been waiting for. We've got Jordan Love throwing a pick, basically sealing the Packers' fate. All the momentum is gone. Now, we're going to take a look at why he does this. If he just waits a half second, Kraft is wide open. But as I was mentioning earlier, 3rd down and medium, you got 3rd and 3. You essentially have a cover 0. Look, you've got man, you've got man, you've got everyone, eyes on the receivers. You think it's going to be cover 0. If you're a quarterback, you're going to assume that this is cover 0, without a doubt. If he thinks it's cover 0, he's going to assume that Delpit is going to stay with Kraft. He shows it first, but he baits him into it. The Packers have shown this consistently. 3rd and 3. Hey, let's just get to the sticks. Let's hook around, okay? We just need to get that first. In this instance, you've essentially got a couple slants and you've got a sail route, a corner, right? And I think if he waits just a half second, if he takes another step back, if he takes a hitch, and he's just patient with it, Kraft is open, and that's essentially going to help seal the game. But instead, Delpit recognizes the concepts the Packers want to do on 3rd and short. He's going to step in front. He's going to show man, step in front, intercept it. I think that's just a really good defensive play, really good defensive call by Jim Schwartz. And the Browns definitely beat the Packers here. Then on the Browns touchdown run to tie the game, I'm going to look at Stackhouse here. He's in the A gap. You would assume he's just going to clog that A gap, but instead he's going to try to slide inside. He goes with the flow of the run. and that's where that run is going to go. And it's not ideal, right? Quay Walker probably, if he was able to see that Stackhouse is going to go to the outside, he could wrap around and fill this gap, but he's not able to recognize that quick enough, and instead jumps on the back of Stackhouse, and Judkins is just going to slide right off the back of the offensive lineman into the end zone for a touchdown that ends up tying the game with the extra point. And then towards the end of the game, it's not hard to defend when you know what's going to be coming. Obviously, they're playing a clock management situation. Don't need to draw anything up, but this is just Cleveland defense knows what's coming. You got under 2 minutes, no timeouts left. They're going to run the ball. They're in field goal range. I think, you know, this is probably the right thing to do. And I think a lot of people are frustrated with the conservative play calling. But realistically, they got it down to 21 seconds. They were in field goal range. If it's not blocked, it's a go-ahead score. And then you're forcing the Browns to go down and score with 20 seconds left. All right. There is conservative play calling. Yes, they could have taken a shot on first or second down, get a first down, get even closer, right? But, I mean, they're playing the numbers game here, and essentially they get caught out because of the next play. And I'll just go straight into the next play that I'll show, which is obviously the field goal. You had the false starts, which moved them back even further, and then you get the block. So Tucker Kraft on the outside, doing his best to try to seal the outside. You just get a really nice push from the interior on Jordan Morgan. Don't think it's a fault. It's an offside. I know some people were saying that, it might have been offsides by the Browns. Definitely not. And it's going to be Shelby Harris who disrupts it on the inside. I'll watch it from this angle. So here you've got Kraft doing his best. He gets a hand on him to slow him down. He's not the one who ends up blocking it. And then you've got Shelby Harris who drives inside on Jordan Morgan. Right. Focus on this matchup here. He gets a drive inside. Gets up. It's a low kick. Blocked and puts them in good position to win this game. Then you've just got the inexcusable by Micah Parsons. This is one of his issues, is always being offsides. It's a 1st and 10. 1st and 10 with 20 seconds left. They have no timeouts. You have no reason to be jumping the snap count. It gives them a free 5 yards. And more importantly, yes, you get 5 yards. They're still not in field goal range. But it gives them momentum. Right? They just got a free 5 yards. That means we need even less to get a field goal. We can work our operation, and we're going to see that here. Get some quick. What I would love to see is a little bit more effort here by Williams to keep his feet. Of course, he's just trying to make a play on the ball, so he's not going to be able to do that. But try to keep Njoku up a little bit. And of course, this gets spotted very, very quickly. Brown spotted actually like 1 or 2 yards short of where Njoku was. And then the ref is able to touch the ball in that situation, and it counts as a spot. So they get the spike, and you've got the field goal. Of course, going to make everyone hurt. You got Nixon obviously trying his best on that left side. Gets called offside. So even if this was a miss, even if it's a 55-yard kick or whatever, that's a miss. They get to move it up 5 more yards because of the offsides and get to try again. I think it was just destiny that the Packers were going to lose this game. So again, just to recap, offensive line was having all sorts of issues. According to PFF, all 5 of the starters on the offensive line, excluding Zach Tom, were the lowest rated players on offense. It's a tough game. I'd rather get something like this out of the way early. They didn't wake up ready to play on the road. So I would expect them to bounce back against Dallas next week. But let me know what you think in the comments below. And let me know if there's anything else that you want to see in particular. I'm going to try to make more content around the Green Bay Packers, because I think this season could be special, even though they had this hiccup against the Cleveland Browns. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.